Ladies and gentlemen, probably gentlemen, welcome back to Two Dudes with Some Balls. We got an extra set of balls in the house tonight. Our second guest on the show, Mr. Michael Ciancio. Mike, tell us little bit about yourself. Tell us what you do.
I live with your brother, and I watch a lot of sports.
Yeah, and you're former. The people don't know you, Mike. You're a former collegiate athlete yourself. You want to go into a little background about that?
Yeah, I played 4 years at Seattle University. I played baseball there, and went to UW afterwards. And now I'm an accountant as well as a baseball coach. I coach some high
Local
school
baseball
players.
coach.
Local baseball coach. There's Booth for you guys. I know you guys can recognize his voice. A little bit interesting. We got Mike Ciancio on one screen, and then Booth has changed his name today to Mark Ciancio. So,
Some love to Mike here.
yeah, big fans of Mike here on
You're
this
welcome.
podcast. But anyways, we're gonna talk a little bit about a couple balls tonight. We're going back to the big balls, the weirdly shaped ball, and the small ball. That would be the big ball being the basketball, the oddly shaped one being the football, and the small one that we love is baseball. But we're going to start with baseball today, and we're going to start with the World Series. This episode coming out to you on Tuesday, October 26th, and that is the start of Game 1 of the World Series in Houston, Texas, between the Astros and the Atlanta Braves. Let's just start simple enough. Predictions. Booth, we're really bad at these, so I'm going to start with you. Who do you got winning? How many games?
We should start with Mike first, since we sold so bad on our predictions.
Yeah, all right. Let's not give any bias away. Fine. Mike, tell us what you got.
Yeah, I think it's really going to come down to starting pitching in this matchup. I think that both teams are missing a couple of key pieces at the starting position, or that at the starting pitcher spot, and I just think that that Max Fried is going to be able to throw 2 games, maybe 3 if he's on some short rest, and I think that's really what's going to get him going. I think hitting wise, both teams have some really hot hitters with Rosario and Gurriel and Correa, and then obviously the Braves have Duvall and Jock Peterson, who you can't forget.
You mentioned Jocktober.
You have to mention Jocktober, but I think the Braves are going to take it in 6. I am a little bit biased because my roommate was born in Atlanta, but
Tyler.
But yeah, I'm taking Braves in 6.
Got Morton versus Valdez in Game 1 tomorrow, or today as you're listening to this. That's the big thing with the Astros. All other games have TBD on the pitching matchup so far. McCullers is not going to be pitching in this. Greinke is even listed as a little bit of questionable to even start at this point. He will have to, but they're in a little bit of trouble. But their bullpen was really good in that ALCS, and they got some timely starting pitching in those last couple games. What other than pitching, Mike, since I have you on what are the key factors? You mentioned some of the hitters. Do you think the Astros being at home helps them in this series more than it does being on the road to start a World Series?
I think being at home always helps because you have the crowd behind you, but I mean, there's no trash cans this year to bang on, so I don't think it's doesn't play as big of a role as it has in years past. But I think the Braves have shown that they can do it on the road as well as the Astros. So I don't know how big it'll play. I think it'll play maybe a bigger role later in the series.
Right.
But early on, I don't think it'll play too big of a role.
Yeah. Part of it is just how great, I guess there's a tale of two sides on the Houston-Boston series because the Astros came out kind of cold to start the game after Game 1, and then Yordan Alvarez really heated up and sparked the offense a lot, kind of just like what Austin Riley did for the Braves. But the pitching, how they held Boston at the end of that series is really impressive for how hot that offense was. It's going to be interesting to see. I feel like Houston's clicking on both cylinders right now, but so are the Braves. So that's how you get to a World Series. But Booth, what do you think about this World Series? Are you excited about this World Series? First off, this isn't what either of us had.
Yeah, it's not what either of us had, but I'm definitely really excited for it. Both teams are red hot, like you said. I think someone that Mike didn't mention, but you did, was Yordan Alvarez. I think he hit 522, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Astros lineup is too deep. And just if one person's not on, then the next guy up will be. So I'm going to Astros in 6.
See, I want to go Astros too. And I think the American League, I think I've said this, is better than the National League. And it showed with how late the wild card race was and how many teams won 90 plus games on that side of the MLB. And just simply experience. A lot of these Astros players have been here before in the World Series. Obviously, none of us have ever been in it, but it is a total different animal. And so being able to be comfortable comfortable. Jeez, can't talk right now. In that environment, in the biggest stage of your playing career. A lot of these Braves guys, it's their first times. Whereas the Astros, most of their starting lineup's been there a few times. So and being at home to open it too just makes it that much better. But if the baseball gods are really there, the Astros lose, right? I mean, they should. I don't think you get caught cheating, you never deserve to win. That team right now doesn't deserve to win. But on the other hand, did you guys watch Dusty Baker talk after the ALCS at all? Just about his team and then about his dad. Either of you guys? He said he looks up to his dad when he misses his dad. It's hard not to like Dusty Baker. Okay, that's what I'm getting at. I thought he was kind of a old squirrel, weird ball kind of guy. He wears like gloves all the time and stuff. But he's a really good soul, it seems like. And it's weird. It's not baseball related. So if there's one person on the Astros I want to win, it's Dusty Baker. I really like him as a coach now, as a manager. But I want to go Braves, but I'm gonna go Astros, and I'm gonna go in 7. I think we're gonna get a 7-game series. But yeah, that's about it for that one. I think the key factors is the pitching. It's really going to come down to starting pitching. Who's going to come up? Obviously, with McCullers out, and then Soroka's been out since the start of the year, pretty much. So it's kind of banged up on both sides in a way. But the offense for the Astros is too much. Any last words on the World Series?
Our predictions have been the kiss of death lately, so
yeah, Mike's
predictions. Braves are going to be taking it.
Looks like I'm going to be right.
Yeah.
Go Braves.
Also, no, that's about it for baseball. I was going to say, anybody watching this Monday night game right now? I'm not watching it. It's going to transition us into football a little bit, but we're going to go into football and talk about a guy who loves touching balls, actually. Well, getting his balls touched. We're going to talk about Deshaun Watson today. He's the perfect guy for this show just because 2 dudes with some balls and perfect guy, right?
Yeah.
But about football.
About football, yeah. They gotta wax the ball, mud the ball up and that stuff. No one likes it out of a fresh case, unless you're Warren Moon. If you were listening to the Peyton and Eli show that they do on Monday night, which by the way, I'll never watch a different Monday night broadcast after watching them. Marshawn Lynch was on the show tonight, and he dropped
Took 3 shots of Hennessy.
Yeah, talking about taking shots of Hennessy, swore multiple times, dropped an F-bomb, and this is live national television, and I knew that was going to happen or something of that element, but it was bad and they had to apologize for it. But he's pure entertainment. They should have him on the show the whole time. But let's talk a little bit about this Deshaun Watson guy who currently has a no trade clause in his contract, but now he's open to play for other teams. Is this because he knows he's just not going to play with the situation in Houston? Is he able to play if he's out of Houston somewhere else this year, or how's it work? A lot of silence from the room.
Wait, what do you mean? How does it work?
Well, he's not playing in Houston right now.
Yeah, doesn't he just have beef with the Texans organization? It's not.
I've been trying to understand this. Are they sheltering him from playing, or is he just not wanting to play for them?
They just both sides are a little petty, and to my understanding, Deshaun Watson is upset with the Texans management. They didn't listen to his input on getting a new head coach, right, or getting the head coach that he wanted. So he's upset with them in that way. And then I think the Texans are just kind of just blackballing him and not letting them play.
It's not the only person blackballing him, blue balling him. Regardless. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mike, there seems to be a couple teams interested in Deshaun Watson, and the two really that are emerging right now are the Carolina Panthers, who have Sam Darnold, who a lot of analysts and even I feel like myself and Booth kind of gave him a little bit of praise early on. And also there's the Miami Dolphins, which you might be able to get a better trade out of in return of draft picks and then a quarterback who could be really good. What seems to be the better fit, and does it happen this year?
I personally, I don't think it happens because I don't even know if Deshaun will play if it does happen this year.
Mm-hmm.
No, there's been no news about him working out. Obviously, Cam Newton's really the biggest one who shows how much he's working out when he's in the offseason or he's not playing. And you've really heard nothing from Deshaun Watson at all. I assume he's still working to stay in football shape, but you just really never know. If I had to choose one, it's tough to choose, but I think if I think the big reason Sam Darnold's declining is you don't have that safety valve of Christian McCaffrey in the backfield. Matt Rule kind of talked about it earlier this week, is that they want to establish the run a little bit more to take the pressure off of Darnold.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to be able to run the ball effectively to take the pressure off him. And so Chuba Hubbard, although he's a good potential back for in a good backup to McCaffrey, McCaffrey's kind of very special with what he can do and what he's able to produce out of the backfield, both as a receiving back and as just a rusher in general. So I'd probably say the Panthers, as of right now, just would be a better fit, just because you haven't seen Tua enough, and the Dolphins would probably have to give up a good amount of
multiple first-round draft picks and Tua.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I looked at it too. Whereas the Dolphins were in a preseason mix to compete to make a wild card spot this year. It seemed like, especially after coming so close last year, and just how it hasn't panned out yet. And maybe it's still a little too early, but it's almost that ship has sailed. But that would make sense if they were still in a competitive mode to win this year, and feel like getting him would put them in the edge to be in a top wildcard spot. But right now it's Carolina has the better shot to win out of the two. So it almost make more sense if Carolina's going for the trade. But in terms of what do you have to give up, is, Sam Darnold and picks, is that really enough? It probably is almost the same value as Tua, but McCaffrey coming back in week 9, I don't know. I don't think you'd take the risk of giving up that much, because I feel like Carolina, both teams really are in a good spot with a younger core team and new coaching that they have.
Yeah, and Deshaun Watson still is a top 8 quarterback when he's playing his potential. I mean, the numbers he put up last year were pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's shown that he can be a top 5 quarterback at times during on a week-to-week basis. But I think those two teams, even though Miami isn't playing great and Panthers haven't played great as of late, I think that they can really have a good core going right now. And it seems like a lot of the players have a lot of trust in, at least in the Panthers organization, with Matt Rule and what he wants to do. And so young quarterbacks, young teams overall are going to hit a little bit of a lull if you don't have that main piece on either side of the ball. And I think that's what the Panthers are kind of getting hit with right now with McCaffrey out.
I like that. Booth, any comment on this?
Yeah, I think the Dolphins have been one of the biggest disappointments this year, so I'd like to see them make a move. I don't necessarily see Tua as the quarterback of the future. I've just been kind of disappointed in his play as well. So if they went big and got a guy like Deshaun Watson, I think that'd be kind of change the whole outlook of the franchise, and it could be kind
almost
of a
set them
turning
up
point for
better.
them. Yeah. So I
That's
would like
good
to see them
outlook.
pull the trigger and do it.
Yeah, I it's so weird though, because you don't want to give up on quarterbacks that quickly in a second year. You don't really want to give up on any player. Like, even if Jeff Okudah was healthy this year and was probably the most criticized rookie last year, like, he's good, but you don't want to give up on him yet. But how long in a market like Miami, where you're supposed to win now, you need to pull the trigger, because that defense should be talented enough. They're just on the field too much. They struggled this week. I mean, honestly, don't blame the offense against Atlanta. The defense.
I was gonna say Tua still has some value right now, so if
Right.
they're gonna make a trade, they gotta do it now, because if he plays bad, there's no value there, and you're not gonna get the same return on a trade. So that's why I think do it now and just take that risk. It's a
It's really
gamble.
good. Yeah, well, that's actually a good topic, and this is put on the spot with both of you here. I know we didn't talk about this beforehand, but who are, if you have them off the top of your head, who have kind of been your biggest disappointments so far this year? You said Miami. Do you have anyone else that's kind of letting you down a little bit here?
I think I might be taking Mike's here, but the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think Big Ben coming back this year, I think we all expected them to be a little bit better than they were. They just don't even look competitive at times.
Nice. I agree.
Yeah,
Mike?
I would agree with the Steelers a little bit as well. They've really struggled up front, both on offensive and defensive sides, both lines, dealing with some injuries on the defensive line. But the offensive line is young, and they've gotten better as of late, and it's kind of shown. Ben's been able to stand in the pocket a little bit better, but that's more of a week-to-week thing with what type of pass rush they've been facing. Like when they face Cincinnati's pass rush, there was no time, and the offense they couldn't move the ball at all. But then obviously against weaker pass rushes, the offensive line was able to do a little bit more. So they've been able to perform a little bit better on offense, just as people had hoped that the Steelers would be able to do, and hope that they're still back in the playoffs as a Steelers fan. But I think another team that's kind of disappointing as well just is the Titans before this week.
It's fair.
And Derrick Henry has been unbelievable, but they've really been lacking a lot of production out of the wide receiving core that they built up with obviously AJ Brown coming back after a huge year and acquiring Julio Jones. And obviously both of those guys have been dealing with injuries. And that's kind of, you saw it in the first couple of weeks that Tannehill was struggling to throw the ball a little bit better. But I think that's a team that just off the standards of what they've shown they've been able to do with the best running back in the league with Derrick Henry, I think they finally showed this week that they're a team to kind of be feared in the AFC and have a shot of winning pretty much against anyone in the AFC, including the Bills.
Right. And no one in that AFC has really pulled away as a dominant, clear front runner going forward. And it's also your 7 weeks. Well, this is technically week 8, but you're 7 games in for most teams. There's still 10 games left. A lot can shake up on either side. So someone's going to pull away. It might be Cincinnati still, which impressive win for them, but it's it could be Tennessee once things get clicking. And that's even the thing with the Chiefs. They're probably, that you could easily list that. And we've talked about them before. They're probably the most disappointing team just because you expect so much from them. And Patrick Mahomes is getting a little bit ripped lately, but I've watched a lot of their games. And to be fair, in his favor, he's thrown up some stupid passes and made some stupid decisions. Like half of those balls are like dropped by the receiver, tipped by the receiver, like catchable balls that just deflect and go and get picked. So he's getting, if you're not actually watching the games, you don't see it, but that defense has struggles too. My team that I'm kind of disappointed in, and it's almost not their fault, is the 49ers. I just expected them to be a lot better. And they've had some problems, especially on the offensive line with injuries and stuff that completely out of their control. But the NFC West is almost now looking like not that fun to watch at times, but other than the Cardinals and the Rams seem like they're going to duke it out. And the Niners are going to be struggling to even try to maybe make the playoffs right now. So it'll be, that's kind of where I'm at, but let's move on to the last thing, a little bit shorter topic is the NBA season is back in play, and it's an exciting year for the NBA. The NBA 75 with the whole 75 best players coming out and the advertisements for it. If anyone's out there that hasn't watched the commercial they put out where it's like Michael B. Jordan driving the school bus, I think it's one of the coolest commercials I've ever seen. Just great videography and just incredible intro for the NBA season. If you haven't checked that out, go check it out. That's free promotion to them. Regardless, though, let's talk a little bit about these power rankings, what we see and what we think is funny, because I think power rankings are the most overrated thing in the world. And you can look at that straight off the rip, seeing that the Brooklyn Nets are 1 and 2, and they're ranked 4th. And the ESPN article that I have pulled up right now, it literally says in the first sentence, it's been a slow start to the season for Brooklyn. How can you put a team in the 4 spot? What do power rankings do is my question to you guys when you look at them. What do they mean? Do you get more interested in seeing the Nets being the 4 spot when they're bad, or does it make you be like, why am I watching the NBA or why am I reading this?
I think a team with the talent of the Brooklyn Nets is why they're number 4. I think their roster speaks for itself, so I think that's why they're the number 4 seed. But I don't think anyone really puts any weight into the power rankings because they're just something to talk about. They're not really the end all be all.
I feel like in the first week, though, when you're trying to set the tone of like what teams have been impressive early, especially when like you're coming into a new season and maybe you want to like see what teams you want to watch, like the first week of power rankings are kind of important in whatever sport it is, not just the NBA. Like the Bulls are being respected here by being, they're 3-0 and they got the 10 spot, which is great. They've been on, Zach LaVine's been crazy, putting up over 30 in multiple games so far. They deserve to be in that top 10. And then you have a team like Charlotte who beat this number 4 team, the Brooklyn Nets, in a very good game, actually, on both sides of the ball for them. And they're not even close to the top 10. They're at 14. I just feel like, not that it's disrespectful, but I think it sends the wrong message to the NBA viewers. Why are we including teams that are losing records early in these power rankings? Like the goal is to show who's doing well.
Yeah, usually when I think of power rankings, I think of the teams that are playing the best currently, but also I think the power rankings this early in the season, especially in an NBA season, when your teams are 2 to 3 games in. The point of power rankings is kind of what Booth said. It's just to get people talking about it. I think the Nets will be a top 4 team by the end of the year? Absolutely. There's too much talent there, and anything lower than a 2 seed out of the East would be a disappointing year for them.
Yeah.
But with that being said, who says the Bulls aren't playing better basketball than them right now?
Yeah.
Just based off of record alone. And the Bulls have had a fairly weak schedule, but power rankings usually show the hottest teams. And especially in football, when it's week to week, a lot can change in football power rankings based off of one loss. But I think in a longer season, they aren't going to weigh into a 1 week stretch as much as other sports would.
I guess I see both sides on that argument, and that's fair. It's a better explanation. I mean, I get what you guys are saying. I just think when you're starting the season off, kind of highlight the teams that are doing well. And I think maybe that's a whole different article you can put out, because the almost exciting thing about the NBA is you could say like, oh, the Nets are going to win the finals, and that's a safe bet, or the Lakers are going to compete for the final, and that's a safe bet. But it's not like how it was a couple of years ago when you knew the Warriors were going to be in that. Like, it's not, no one's for sure, and there's such good emerging young teams. Miami looks really good based on their moves in the preseason. Atlanta was obviously so fun to watch last year, late into the Eastern Conference Finals. Hopefully the Sixers thing, I just want them to get rid of Ben Simmons, because that team could flourish, and that'd be a really good competitor for the East. And then obviously the Suns again, but then you got Charlotte, you got even the Grizzlies and Wizards are off to a good start. Like, these younger teams they're emerging. So it's a whole new game, right? It's kind of the thing they've even been trying to get after the NBA advertising. It's open air. Anyone can have it. So I feel like maybe a different article, maybe I'm just looking at the power rankings and I'm mad at just that, to advertise like there is more than just these superstar teams. That's what I want to get at.
And I would agree that if you're 3-0, you should be in the top 10, because there are equivalent talent teams that are above them with worse records, but they were higher in the power rankings preseason. So they didn't want to bump them all the way down. But a 3-0 start is a 3-0 start. And if there aren't those big stars like KD and Harden and Brooklyn, or LeBron and Russ and AD and the Lakers, there are teams that the Hornets can definitely jump to not be considered a middle of the pack team as of right now.
Yeah, I like that take. I think that's a good wrap on that, because I think that's important. But really, really quick, want to thank you, Mike, for taking time out of your evening to join us today. It's our second guest on Two Dudes with Some Balls. That is 6 balls in this room, unless you have some problem you'd like to disclose in front of all the people right now, Mike.
No, I'm good. Happy to say that I still have 2.
Congratulations. And just like,
do you want to double check right now, or
yeah, you'll be over
if you want me to?
Hey, so anyways, it's a sports podcast, not a seducing podcast. I like it though. We can do the Deshaun Watson thing for Halloween if you guys want. You could go as the masseuse booth, and you can wear the 4 Texans jersey, Mike. Got any big Halloween plans? This is the last episode coming out before Halloween, Mike. What are you doing?
No big Halloween plans. Probably going to be a banana this year.
A banana, nice.
Throw it back, go to a classic.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah, I can't.
You got the banana suit?
Yep.
You gonna wear anything underneath it, or are you just gonna free banana?
Well, most likely we'll wear something underneath it. Can't get too comfy. Halloween costumes aren't always the softest material. So
it might get hot though, and then maybe I'll need to take off. If you're dancing the bananas.
Yeah, that's true. But you'll have to be there to know.
I'll check. I'll got my flight home. Booth, you doing anything for Halloween? People might care about to hear what you're doing.
No. Might go and see what the banana's doing later. But...
Nice, awesome. Well, we wish you all a very fortunate, blessed, sugary. I don't know what the right word is for Halloween. I was gonna say like Merry Christmas, but we wish you a happy holidays. And thank you for listening to Two Dudes with Some Balls.
Wrap this up.
Catch you next time. Yeah. See you guys.